Inflation is entrenched. Inflation is forever, and we will always have more money being printed. So that's why Bitcoin is the way. Okay? If you want to hedge against inflation, there's no better way to do it but with Bitcoin, because nothing has outperformed Bitcoin in the last 10 years. And I don't believe anything will outperform Bitcoin in the next 10 years from here on out too. Okay? Bitcoin is the best hedge against inflation. And there are many analysts that believe that all-time high could be coming even this week. We're not that far off. We're really not that far off from 73,000. We can break through to 73,000, 75,000 by the end of this week. So whenever we talk about Bitcoin's all-time high, it seems like it's forever, right? Like we're nowhere close. As if we were like at 20,000 or 10,000 talking about all-time high. No, all-time high is $2,000 away, guys. $2,000 away. It is not that far away, especially considering that Wall Street now. I mean, look at this. Look at this green right here on the right. Especially considering Wall Street's appetite for Bitcoin is now back in full force. Okay, yesterday, I already kind of went over the numbers. Now we have the official numbers today. Yesterday, we had $887 million flow into the US-based ETFs. The second highest day, okay, since the inception of spot ETFs. That is absolutely enormous. Enormous. And if we have the same thing today, guess what's going to happen to the price? Bitcoin is going to go higher, right? The FOMO is building not just with retail, but with institutions. And that is going to bring Bitcoin to greater heights, much greater heights. Because these institutions and banks and financial companies, they have, and funds and everything else, they have trillions of dollars, not billions, trillions of dollars. And just imagine if a small portion of that went into Bitcoin, what it's going to do for a price, right? So let's see. And this is just US based. Obviously, we have ETFs now around the world. And if they all start having massive inflows like the US, again, leading to a supply shock that I've been talking about for so long, it's already happening and it's going to keep on going. And in case you don't know, there are only 450 Bitcoin that's produced per day. Okay, after the halving event, we only have 450 being produced per day. Before it's 900. Think about it. Yesterday, 12,500 being purchased by the ETFs versus 450 being produced. Do the math. Do the math. And this is only counting ETFs in the US. Not counting ETFs around the world, not counting whale activity, not counting retail investors simply DCAing. Again, do the math. 12,500 versus 450. Supply and demand, right? Ultimately, the reason why Bitcoin's will go higher is because supply is going down and demand keeps going up. And we're going to see way more of that the second half of this year. We just started the second half of this year, especially toward the end of this year. We're going to see massive, massive price appreciation, I believe. And also next year. That's the thing. You know, like we're so ahead of the cycle. We're so ahead of the cycle. We're talking about breaking all-time high constantly this early in this year. All previous years during the halving year, you don't see any movement for at least 4, 5, 6 months afterwards. This time around, we did it even before the halving event. We're so early right now. We're so ahead of the game. It's not even funny. But that's a good thing for us holders. Just like El Salvador, who holds 5,770 Bitcoin. They've been DCAing 1 Bitcoin per day, and now they have $400 million of the Bitcoin, right? Back in the day, they would have to go back to the IMF and World Bank to beg for money, okay? And President Bukele said, no more. We're going to embrace Bitcoin, right? And IMF hated it. They threatened to cut off funding to El Salvador. So now look at it. They have almost $500 million worth of Bitcoin. And if they continue this path, they're going to have over $1 billion in Bitcoin soon. The power of DCA. I mean, most people can't buy a Bitcoin per day. Okay, honestly, that's kind of nutty, unless you can. I mean, some people can, but most people can't. But that doesn't mean you can't buy, let's say, 0.1 Bitcoin per day or 0.01 Bitcoin per day. You could always implement some kind of DCA strategy that works with you. And in the long run, you just set it, forget it, and you're going to benefit. That's really what it comes down to. Accumulation of Bitcoin, as much of it as you can while you still can. Right now, if you look at Bitcoin's price versus the global M2 liquidity, we're already at all-time high. But we know that the global M2 liquidity is only going to go higher, right? Because, hey, every country is still printing. Fiat around the world will never stop. They will only inflate. It's not like countries all of a sudden have the ability to say, okay, we're just going to stop printing and let's start burning all of our cash. It's not like crypto. You don't have any burning, really. It's just never ending inflating, right? So, of course, the liquidity is going to keep on going up. Now, there are certain times where it goes up way more than before, right? Like during, there's some, you could see we went sideways for a little bit, just a little bit because we already printed so much. But it looks like more printing is about to start, and that is going to go higher. And what happens normally when there's massive liquidity being injected into markets? Well, assets like Bitcoin start skyrocketing, right? So this is going to help Bitcoin, not only Bitcoin, entire crypto space in a big way. Once we start seeing the money printers really printing once again, and it does look like it's about to happen. Even in the U.S., I've said that the economy is slowing down, right? Maybe they don't give out more stimulus checks, but they will do. The U.S. government, especially the Fed, will do what it takes to prop up the economy and companies that are struggling, right? Liquidity injections, rate cuts, it's going to happen. So when that happens, Bitcoin is going to benefit. Now, here's the other thing too. Okay, I've been talking about the shorts. So right now, you may be wondering, well, why can't we break through 73K, right? What's holding it back? Because there are a massive amount of shorters, okay, that's trying to make a last stand. Because that was 73,000 the previous high. So I guess there are some shorters that are still willing to bet against Bitcoin, basically. Willing to bet that it can't break it into a new all-time high, despite the fact that Wall Street and everyone else is buying hundreds of millions of dollars of Bitcoin per day. I just don't see the logic there. But between our, right now, 71,000 to 72,000, there's about $1.5 billion worth of shorts placed there. So that's why, we're kind of stopping there, right? But just one little push past into 72, 73K, we're going to get a massive short squeeze of $1.5 billion worth. That is a whole lot.